So here with Acid Rain Technology. I love the little Switchblade. So as soon as you have been teasing new things, I was really glad to see you were here. So yeah, first of all, I guess mention Switchblade. We should mention it for people that maybe aren't aware of it. What is it?
So the Switchblade is our module that we have available right now. It is a 3-channel switch and mixer and mute. So it does a lot of CV combination. So on this top channel here, I can switch between 2 different waveforms. So you can see them up here on the data. These are the 2 waveforms coming into the Switchblade, and this is the output here. So right now we're in switch mode. So the output of the Switchblade is switching between the 2 waveforms. If you long press one of the buttons, it turns into a mix or a mute. And to show you how this would kind of work in like a little bit of a live performance situation, we have 3 different drum sounds here, and the Switchblade is manipulating the trigger streams in different ways for each one. So right now, I have a faster clock being switched to by the top channel, and this is in momentary mode right now. Forgot to mention that if you hold all 3 buttons, it turns into momentary instead of latching switching. So I have a gate that is switching over to the fast clock stream for kind of hi-hat trills, and you can also do it with your finger as well. So you can do trigger or gate and manual control at the same time. On the second one, I'm sending 5 volts to the CV input of one of these channels of this microgrids. So I can do like little fills and kind of affect the note density of the grids. And then here I'm actually switching away from the kick trigger stream, so muting the kick momentarily if you want to do a little bit of a drop of some kind in your music. So that's the Switchblade. There's loads of different ways you can use it. Those are just a few examples.
We've also got, I love the naming as well. We've got Chainsaw, Navigator, Jackhammer. I mean, where would you like to start with the new ones?
Well, we can start with the Chainsaw here. Both Michael and I are really fond of supersaws and like the sounds of trance, I suppose you could say. So right now we've got this one in solo mode or lead mode. I'll turn up the filter here. Gotta be able to hear it myself. So you've got a spread control over your supersaw sound, all the way to pretty wigged out. It's a super saw or a super square here, so it's detuned saw waves or square waves. An encoder for tuning, so coarse and fine tune controls. Coarse is semitones, so you can kind of match it to whatever you like. It's actually a little easier to see it up here, but this is the switch between solo mode and chord mode. So in solo mode, your 3 CV inputs here are your 1 volt per octave, your shape CV, so that's the wave shape between saw and square, and your FM, so like a linear FM as well. But if you switch to chord mode, which this one is in chord mode here, and I'll pull up the filter cutoff for this guy. It has 3 1 volt per octave inputs. So if you have a module like this triad here that can output a chord of CV, or there are many other options as well, you can play supersaw or super square chords, a total of 21 waveforms in the module. So it's kind of cool. Again, switch between saw and square, you can tune it, You still have CV control over spread in the chord mode as well. And like I said, I was controlling the cutoff, so I'm running a stereo filter in this ER301 over here, but I'm controlling the cutoff of it with the Navigator. So the Navigator is a really simple fader and knob attenuator, attenuverter, offset module. So actually, this one here is set up with a sawtooth wave coming from the Quadra. And if you look at the data up here, you can bring it in, attenuate it, offset it with the attenuverter up here. So there's plus 5 volts normal to both inputs of the attenuator and the attenuverter, and they mix together on this top output. And then if you use like just the attenuverter, you can invert your waveform and still offset it a bit. So really, we wanted a really performable, simple module that places your modulation CV exactly where you want it and lets you bring it in and out in a performance.
Yeah, and they're really important. I can't stress this enough to people. The small utilities for me are what makes modular.
Yeah.
Entirely. That's what normal sims don't have, and that really is the beauty of a Euro system for me, or a modular system. We've also got Jackhammer, which is a kick drum generator, right?
All sorts of drums. Yeah. It's a digital drum module. It's loosely based off of the architecture of the Simmons SDSV, but all the controls and synthesis are digital. So each control, which we're still kind of figuring out, this is a prototype. We're figuring out how each control modulates many different synthesis parameters behind the scenes. So you can make kind of distorted, overdriven kick drums. You can move up into sort of snare zones with some resonance, kind of in between, all CV controllable. So you can add in like this LFO and kind of create some rhythmic modulation of many different parameters of the drum. Yeah. Rather than having like a kind of a one knob per function, we have a one knob per many functions.
yeah, kind of macro controller led, yeah. And they're, to be honest, they're the kind of controls that I would make with many other modules.
Yeah.
One, like a Navigator controls cutoff and envelope shape and everything else. So it's nice, it's just built in. I like this, like very performance friendly.
Internally molded in a sense.
Yeah. So how far off is everything? Switchblade is out now.
Switchblade is available. I would say the chainsaw and the Navigators will be next up. No firm date yet, but we're hoping the next couple months.
What about pricing for those two as well?
TBD. Yeah,
right, that's fine.
Still quoting, still figuring out some behind-the-scenes manufacturing details. Jackhammer's a little further out. I think the form factor is pretty locked in. We're just figuring out all of that parameter mapping and working with our friends to figure out what they want to hear out of it. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.